Happy Monday to all out there. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Myself, Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli in with you. And Renee, as we trudged through the wind and the cold this morning with trash blowing all over the place and trees going down, I just went, we'll be in Clearwater in 2 days. It's okay. I can get through this today.
I know. I was just praying today that I didn't have to chase any furniture down the street. Or last night, I was like, please don't let me hear anything go crashing from my house. But yeah, it's a windy, cold day. And we are just 2 days away from our flight down to Florida for our PHLY spring training trip. I'm so excited. And today, like you said, the weather made it that much sweeter that we're that much closer. But I want to say a quick shout out because I did pull up the chat. Chris Slemmer defending that top spot. Kim, though, coming in hot number 2. Will, Dave P. Happy Monday, guys. Nice to see you all in the chat bright and early this morning and talking about one of our main topics for the day, the closer role.
Yeah, that seemed to be the talk in the Discord this weekend in our Phillies chat. Rob Thompson was asked about it on Sirius XM over the weekend and had, a quasi-interesting quote. We're going to talk about the weekend that was, today's lineup. We're going to do the top 3 all-time Philly shortstops of all time. And then we'll get out of here by noon so that the Eagles can see if Howie Roseman has anything up his sleeve on day 1 of, I always love this term, the legal tampering period in the NFL. And I'm sure every Birds fan out there has their wish list. But let's start with the weekend that was. A lot of the big names did really well. A lot of the names that aren't going to contribute to the Major League roster didn't. I think that pretty much surmises the weekend.
There it is.
Yeah, like it's when you look at these games, I go to the guys that matter. I read the box score, I watch them, and then the rest of the guys I go, unless it's like a De La Cruz or like, Mick Abel or somebody, like, who cares?
All right, there is one I care about, though, Jamie, and I'm not going to lie. I was like, who is this man? Shortcut Taijuan Walker was back on the mound. It was good to see.
He was throwing like 91.
It was good to see that he was back.
Yeah.
And I know he was talking.
Physically,
he did, actually. I was like, he looked a little bit more
imposing.
He does. And I was like, I don't know if it was just me.
No, he looks big.
I did do a double take and I look back on pictures because I'm like, I haven't seen Taijuan since last season. And I thought at first it was just a haircut, but he definitely looks like he's
got big shoulders.
Yeah,
and
he chiseled up a little bit. I'm like, this is a different Taijuan. Taijuan was looking pretty good. But listen, he was saying how, obviously we know last year's numbers, even though he was the first to get to 15 wins, not a great season for him. And of course, now being behind, I thought it was interesting, not only the knee soreness that left him out, but also personal reasons as he kind of touched on. And so now just playing catch up, I was kind of like, oh no, what's going on with Taijuan? Personal reasons are never a great thing. But overall, just saying how he's, working back. He's trying to get his fastball, his velocity back up. And everybody was positive about him.
He was throwing low. I think he was throwing 90, 91. But he said he basically only had like a mini bullpen session before
one
this.
Bullpen session. That's really all that he's had a chance to get into. He was very behind.
Really nothing to be concerned
about. That 88 to 90 speed, nothing to be excited about. But he's working back at least. That's the important thing is he's getting back. And they are confident in him as one of the guys. That's why Snell, Montgomery, these guys names have not been brought in because it's in Taijuan Walker. The Phillies trust for now. So
yeah. So
short-haired
Zach
Taijuan.
Wheeler gets the start today. The team's ace. They are taking on the New York Yankees, and they pretty much it's just Rojas missing from and Marsh because he's injured. But this is probably gonna be, I would think, your opening day-ish lineup with maybe a little tinkering at the 5 or 6 hole here. So we have Schwarber leading off, Turner in the 2 hole, Harper in the 3, It seems like they're going to try out Real Muto again at the 4-hole. He's in the 4-hole. Now they have Stott in the 5-hole today. They've had Bohm there previously. I guess they're trying to split up righty-righty in the heart of the order. So it goes Stott, Bohm, Castellanos. Then they got Merrifield in left, Pache in center, and, of course, Zach Wheeler pitching. So I think that's going to be the lineup. Just put Rojas in the 9-hole and then Brandon Marsh / Whit Merrifield in the 8-hole. The 5-6 spot, I think, is the only one that they kind of have up for debate here. It looks like they're pretty happy with Castellanos down in the 7. And to be honest with you, it's really fucking good.
It is.
If you have a player of Nick Castellanos' caliber, I know it's popular to, kind of crap on Nick a little bit, but like he gave you 100+ RBIs last year. He gave you, 24 home runs last year? You're getting that 20 out of the 7-hole? You got a good lineup.
Yes. And listen, I want to say hello to Matt. Kim, to your question, yes, today's game is supposed to be on NBC Sports.
Got to get that New York
so
market.
You will be able to watch it. And I will say, as I was looking at the lineup, I remember when we talked about our lineups that we would want to have and what minor tweaks we would want. Something that I think, exactly as you alluded to, that I wanted to see from the Phillies this season, of course it's still just spring training, is to have down the batting order somebody that you can get a little bit more excited about and that can give you some good at-bats. And Nick Castellanos, especially when he's trending upwards, of course we know that he's had such an up and down last season, but when he's firing on all cylinders, he's smashing balls. So if he can be later on in the batting order, and then with Yoro, who's been working a lot, as we know, Brandon Marsh when he's back, you have Whit in that position, and I don't mind JT higher up. I feel like JT's been progressing enough where he's just steady. He's not going to
be steady, but I'm greedy. I want more power in the 4-hole.
But I think it allows you to kind of spread things out a little bit more, where he's going to give you at least steady at bats, and then now Nick maybe later on stop being a little
because Nick
lower.
Isn't it makes sense. Bohm doesn't really give you 4-hole hitter.
No.
Castellanos
I think I'd rather have JT there than Bohm.
I'm not going to get into the leadoff hitter debate because I'm trying to get past that, but I'd rather have somebody else
We're moving
there.
on from that, Jamie. We're not talking about that anymore.
So after Zach Wheeler today, our own John Foley, and make sure you're following him on Twitter at 2008 Phils with a Z. I know you enjoy that. Following Zach Wheeler today in the game is going to be Mick Abel, Connor Brogdon, Yunior Marte, Andrew Bellotti, Luis Ortiz, and Tyler McKay. So obviously Mick Abel, big name to watch there. And Connor Brogdon is kind of pushing for playing for a job, really. Yeah. Because over the weekend, Philadelphia Inquirer Scott Lauber had this to say: Michael Mercado has an outside chance to win a spot as a bulk reliever, with Thompson noting that the Phillies intend to stretch out Mercado to multiple innings over the next few appearances. Connor Brogdon, really good 2 years ago, struggled last year. Now he's kind of on that camp bubble a little bit. I would think he makes the team because of what he showed Rob Thompson 2 years ago, but it seems like Michael Mercado, the guy they traded for from Tampa, is making a strong case here.
Yeah, I've seen a couple instances now where Michael's been brought up, and it definitely feels like he's showing the most promise right now. And as much as we don't watch that next tier, because that's not really, as you were talking about, I'm just trusting the staff is as they're following them every day, has a better idea of who they feel like is a good fit. But Mercado has shown a little bit more. And of course, even as you talk about the ups and downs that Brogdon's had, may make him somebody on the outside looking in. Mick Abel, another one who, with the spring breakout games coming up, he's going to get a chance. He's been someone that the Phillies are actively hoping can crack into maybe the lineup this season. So there's some promise that's happening there. And I think Mercado's numbers have been decent enough where I'm okay. I'm like, give him a shot. Let's see what happens if he beats out Connor Brogdon and it's somebody new versus somebody that you've already seen over the last couple of years that hasn't been able to give you much. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I can't recall off the top of my head. Tyler, does Brogdon have the ability to go 3+? Like, he doesn't, right?
I don't believe you. I mean, anyone has the ability technically, but I would not go more than 2.
Yeah. Whereas Mercado, if he can give you 3 or 4,
right,
and it's between those two for the final spot, Mercado might get the bump there to have that 6 starter capability.
Yeah, I think that the likelihood of this situation is you are going to lose Connor Brogdon. You're going to put him on waivers.
He's gone.
Somebody's going to claim him.
No options left for him.
I don't think that Brogdon makes this team at this point, and the most unlikely scenario to me is that Connor Brogdon doesn't make the team and he's back with Lehigh Valley. If that happens, that means the league does not value him highly at all.
Yeah.
And I think that there's going to be a team somewhere that looks at him and goes, okay, the changeup still plays. Yeah. If you can locate the fastball a little bit better than, closer to 2022 than 2023, we could use you in low leverage situations. I think the likelihood is he's probably pitching for somebody else in 2024.
Yes, and hypothetical, man, he was the guy they traded for with the Rays in, I believe, early December, I want to say. And Mopar, what's up, you wacko? Everybody hit that thumbs up here in the chat. And that takes us to the bullpen. And Rob Thompson was asked about it today. I thought his quote was interesting because I think his quote says, I want somebody to take this job.
Basically.
Now, modern baseball, the closer is not really as important as high leverage situational baseball. That's been one of the major shifts in baseball over, the last 7, 8 years, something like that, maybe even a little less, where it's more like use your best arm in your highest leverage spot versus the other team's best. Use it where you need it most, as opposed to waiting for the ninth inning. Now, the Phillies, they did have a closer when Craig Kimbrell was good a little bit last year. But Jose Alvarado has done some of it. Sir Anthony's been given opportunities to do it. Hoffman's even done it. So it's kind of been a closer by committee, which has worked. I mean, hell, Rob Thompson got, except for the Arizona series, we're not going to talk about that. Rob Thompson got, 17 outs from the bullpen in the Atlanta series? Like, he was the maestro with the bullpen. But he was asked on Sirius XM this weekend about having a closer. And Rob's quote was, if somebody steps up and really takes it, we'll designate somebody as the closer. But up until then, I think we'll mix and match and try and do it that way. He didn't shut it down. He didn't say we are a closer by committee team. So I think that was a little bit of a challenge to, Sir Anthony didn't look great this weekend. But I think that's a challenge to Jose Alvarado, honestly. I think Orion is the long-term guy there, but I think Rob was going, hey, Jose, you want to be a closer? Go take the job. Because, Sir Anthony, you'd love to, but he hasn't really shown you that yet. Hoffman, I think if you were to designate Alvarado as your closer, I think Hoffman would then become your highest leverage guy. And then after that, you would go Orion and Sir Anthony. So we'll see what happens. But Rob Thompson, to me, challenged the bullpen to step up and take the job.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I decided to kind of look back and found myself down a rabbit hole around the closer conversation that, of course, as we know, has been happening over the last couple seasons. It's not the first time Rob's been asked about who's going to be the closer. And
it's if the age-old question.
Yeah, and remember last year as Rob was talking about, the floating closer concept, and was mentioning the different names that the Phillies were relying on. So it just, when I was looking through this list, it had me like, wow, today's closer problems are not the same as last year's closer problems. So last year coming into the season, when asked about it and talked about the floating closers, at that time, the Phillies were looking at, we've got, of course, Sir Anthony, Jose, but also Craig Kimbrell, Gregory Soto as, two of the names that are going to be also able to help. And then 11 different Phillies that had a save in the 2022 season as relievers.
Let's see if me and Tyler can name these. In the 2022,
2022 season. So this is where, coming into last year, there was we've got 11 different relievers that had a save in 2022.
Wow.
And some of these names are still here, and but there's
Jose
a couple.
Alvarado's one.
Yeah.
Sir Anthony is one. Hoffman wasn't here. Kerkering wasn't here.
Nope.
Oh, who was that big ass that JT? They traded Seattle with him. Remember, he was running in. He was terrible, Tyler. And JT did the.
No, that was Hughes. That was a while.
Wasn't that 2022?
It was Jared Hughes. I don't think that was
21.
Yeah.
2022.
So say it again. There was 11 closers.
There were 11 different Rangers, one of them, 11 different relievers that had a save, at least a save in 2022. And these are the names that the floating closers were being
Ranger,
considered.
Alvarado.
So yes.
Who else did I just say?
You said Sir Anthony,
Ranger,
and Jose.
Connor Brogdon.
Connor was yes.
Yeah, all right, that's 4, Tyler.
The guy that led the team in saves that year was Corey Knebel.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Knebel. All right, just read the other 6.
Okay, so the other ones.
I don't want to waste people's time.
Yeah. The other ones were and Brad Hand, Zach Eflin, and
wow.
Robinson were the 3, and then David Robinson were the big ones that jumped out.
Robinson's still a free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
did he sign, Tyler?
No, he got a pretty sizable deal.
Did he?
Okay. I think he signed with the Rangers.
Oh, okay.
And I think he got
Brad Hand is still available.
He got a multiple year deal.
How many year deal?
I think it was 2 years and. Actually, it may have only been 1. No, it was 1 and 12.
Okay.
No, actually, it was a 2-year deal. I'm sorry. It was 2-year deal. I guess there's an incentive technically on year 2.
All right.
But a base salary of $7 million.
But David Robertson, Zach Eflin were 2 of the names, along with Alvarado, Dominguez, and Suarez, that had 5 saves in the playoffs that the Phillies knew coming back into 2023. We had them locked in, but it just was, no Orion Kerkering, no Jeff Hoffman, Strom, the different names that we now have been able to consistently include that have stepped up and shown themselves. The closer role is by committee, and I like the fact that Rob threw it out there. Like, we are looking to see who's going to step up. I'd love to see Orion and Jose be those 2 guys. I know in our Discord channel, I want to get a shout out because the conversation was happening in our Discord. Trizzolini was saying the list: Soto, Alvarez, Dominguez, Hoffman, Kerkering, all have elite arms that can do the job. They just need the consistency. And then I know some others are saying, yep, Strom is in that same category too. So there's a good group there for the taking.
Really good signing. It's a really good bullpen.
It's a really good group. I mean, Brad Hand and David Robertson
who
and
cares? But I mean, you need
Corey
Orion
Knebel and things. This is a different group.
You need Orion to eat some innings. I mean, the 75 innings from Craig Kimbrell, and we all know how it ended. But like 75 innings is a lot of innings, and Orion's got to be good.
Yes.
And you got to hope other guys don't get hurt. And Sir Anthony, this is kind of, I don't want to say his make or break year. But if he doesn't step up and excel this year, I think you can just kind of go, well, we know what he is. He's a serviceable 6th, 7th inning guy, but he's never going to be that back end high leverage arm.
Plus, at this point, with the way if Jeff Hoffman, Orion Kerkering, and Jose Alvarado alone can continue the way they progressed last year into this year, and I know Jeff and Orion specifically were talking a lot about this offseason and their training and their focus and how much they learned from last year. Jeff and Orion, obviously, we hadn't had a chance to see a full season from. Yeah. So, you think about what the progression of a full offseason, a full spring training, a full opportunity this year from the start can look like for them. There's some other Sir Anthony, like one of them, that it's either put up or you're going to be put out if you're unable to perform. Yeah,
and sometimes that Phillies bullpen, it makes me want to crack open a cold, delicious Miller Lite beer. And I can already taste the airport beers on Wednesday. First round of Miller Lights on me, guys, as we get ready to board for Clearwater. And Miller Lite, we all know it. We all love it. It's great to have when friends and family are coming by, hanging out with the kids in the backyard on the swing set, a Miller Lite in my cup or a bottle in my hand, with the sun now turning. And the best part of Miller Lite, in my opinion, it doesn't fill you up. 96 calories, low grams of carbs. It's the original light beer since 1975. And they keep it simple. It's unbeatable, great quality, great taste, only 96 calories. I went to a party on Saturday night. There was a Miller Lite keg. We played. Yeah, I went to a keg party.
A keg party.
Yeah,
look at you, Jaime.
We were playing beer pong and flip cup with Miller Lite, and it's great. I didn't feel bloated once. I was just drinking that clean, crisp, light beer all night long. The great taste of Miller Lite.
Somebody's bad out here on kegs and beer pong. Wow.
I hadn't played beer pong in probably 6+ years. It was great. Shot's still there, Renee. Money.
It's like riding a bicycle.
Yeah,
you never lose
it came back to me. Flip cup, not bad either.
Jamie, you're definitely an elbows guy.
No. I stand
elbows
way back.
Way off the table.
Yeah.
Because you're tall.
Yeah.
So you got that leverage.
I could see you being the guy that inches in.
No.
I put the ball at the edge of the table, then step back because I don't want any of that BS and people calling me out.
Oh, wow.
But I was draining shots and drinking delicious Miller Lite all night long. And the best part about Miller Lite is you can get it anywhere. I can get it probably on my flight, in the airport, in Clearwater, at the ballpark. Miller Lite is sold everywhere pretty much that beer is sold. And a lot has changed over the years, but Miller Lite hasn't. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like beer. Less filling, only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. And times change, but you can always enjoy the taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Phils, or you can find it pretty much anywhere beer is sold. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces.
All right. I know Hypothetical Man's in the chat saying, if Soto comes in to close, I'm going to have to double fist the Miller Lite to get through that inning. Yes, Miller Lite, you can double fist that as much as you'd like. But you know where you don't have to worry about holding your breath because things don't get scary. They get much more empowering and educational. That's with Mortgage CS. So over at Mortgage CS, which stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, they're a white glove service located right here in Philadelphia. And they do a great job of working with you to provide 24/7 customer service to take away the stress of the house buying process. So with Mortgage CS, they want to make sure they're educating and empowering their clients. They're helping you get the ultra competitive rates and also looking out for you and your financial picture, not their bottom dollar. So over at Mortgage CS, in addition to helping with the house buying process as the spring purchase market is heating up, and there are a lot of people out there looking to buy that dream house, first house, fixer up, or whatever it is they're looking to purchase. They also will help with refinancing options. So if you're looking to do any sort of rate and term refinances for a rate payment reduction, or maybe you want to have a cash out refinance for an at-home project, education, something you're looking to fund, Mortgage CS is the place to do it. So they want to make sure they're helping you be prepared, stand out, make the best offers possible. And you can reach out any time of day, morning, afternoon, night, via text, call, email. Their CEO, Ben, even gave you his phone number. It's right here on your screen. You can reach out at 267-391-7425 or email ben@mortgagecs.com. That's ben@mortgagecs.com. Call, text, email any time of day to reach out to Ben and Alec over at Mortgage CS so that when you hear the word mortgage, you think of Ben and Alec. You think of Mortgage CS. And you can check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started. And know that this advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval and certain restrictions may apply. The company NMLS ID number is 1464766, and you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information. Now, Jamie, before you go into the next thing, and I'm so sorry, I don't want to take us off the rails. I know we're trying to get in and out with the big news on the Eagles today. This is actually big news that's not about the Eagles. Breaking news, guys. The one and only Northwest has dropped her first album.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wait for it. Called Elementary School Dropouts. Kanye West had College Dropout. North has debuted with Elementary School Dropout. She's like 11.
All right, let's get to the Eagles news that just happened. The Eagles have extended Landon Dickerson for 4 years. I'm not talking about, what, a 12-year-old CD? Is that what she is?
She's got to be like 11 or 12. But to have Elementary School Dropout.
I mean, that's kind of funny. But like,
I was over here laughing while you were doing your read.
She doesn't have to go to school ever.
No, she doesn't, which is why she's elementary school dropout.
Her great-grandchildren are going to have wealth beyond the wildest dreams.
But I also did see the more impressive news for Dickerson.
Yeah. So just to give you a little preview, Zach and Bo are coming up after us at noon today. Just throwing this in here for the people in the chat that are live with us.
If you want news,
let's get a thumbs up for Landon Dickerson's extension with the Eagles, 4-year extension. Base value $84 million with a max of 87. 50 is guaranteed. He averages $21 million per year, making him the highest paid guard in NFL history.
Insane.
So Zach and Bo, Jesus, we'll have you covered at the noontime today with Eagles tampering period underway. It is Howie season, so we'll see what he's got up his sleeve. I'll just say here for the record, for the annals of internet filing, if he can pull off Brian Burns, and I know he was franchise tagged, but the rumor is he's not going to play in Carolina next year. If they can pull off Brian Burns with picks from Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, Renee, will take one of our GoPros and live stream my naked cartwheels down Broad Street.
I was going to ask.
Congratulations. You've demonetized all of PHLY.
I was going to ask
done,
a much
Jamie.
more like basic elementary school question of, are you going to sing our song, Let It Burn?
Nope. Naked cartwheels down Broad Street. He's 26 years old. I was going to
bring out the
guy's a
Let It
beast.
Burn song because it can apply here too.
He's
but
got
you're
like
going to do naked
47
cartwheels.
sacks already at age 26.
Yeah.
Go get this guy in his prime.
Please.
If you're going to trade
Come
Reddick
on,
and
Howie.
Sweat, go get me Brian
Make it
Burns.
happen. We don't want to see naked cartwheels from Jamie, but we do want to see him with the Eagles. So please make it happen.
All right. Back to the Phillies. Everybody's going to have to pace themselves because Kyle Schwarber is struggling. He has 18 at-bats now after the weekend. 1 hit,
Ooh-wee.
9 strikeouts. He is going to start the season like dog shit.
Yeah.
We're all on the same page, and we're all going to remain calm, okay?
Well,
he's having a horrible spring, and then you have a guy like Cody Clemens just destroying baseballs. Another grand slam this weekend. I raise your hand if you would keep Cody Clemens over Jake Cave. He has the versatility defensively.
Yeah, listen, Jake Cave can go.
It might be a hot take, but I think I'm at the point.
This is a tryout period for guys like Cody, and if you're stepping up, and Jake, if you're stepping
they're
up,
not going to because he has an option left, so he's going to go to AAA. But if you're just basing things on spring and like what you saw last year, I'd much rather have Cody Clemens.
I'm all for with those. Like I don't like to take risks at the top of the roster, but that like bottom crew is the spot I feel like you can try some new names, give them a chance, see what happens, because you already know what you're going to get from Jake Cave, and if Cody Clemens is able to
Nick/Jake Cave,
yeah, you're Nick Jake Cave, but I will say FanGraphs did put out projections this year for each club, their projected home run leader for the 2024 season. And although you guys might not be feeling great about Kyle Schwarber's start,
Ohtani,
to Kyle Schwarber's start to spring training, they did project that Kyle Schwarber would be the home run leader for the Phillies this season, and their projection is 42 home runs that he will hit. And the only player they only projected one player across Major League Baseball to hit more home runs than Kyle Schwarber. They actually project him to be the top across the league, and you know who that number one guy is?
Ohtani.
No, you're wrong. Judge it is. But they did project that, again, 42, and they said the next player to keep an eye on for the Phillies is
Harper.
Trey Turner.
Keep an eye on is different than expectations. Keep an eye on as like a sleeper.
Well, I mean, Trey Turner ended up with what, 26, 27?
Trey Turner was listed as the guy that the team can't live without.
In August and September, I want to say he hit like 17 home runs or something like that. Like, he has sneaky pop. If he starts the year high, he can get 30 plus in Citizens Bank Park.
So the league did put out a list. They put out a lot of lists of one player each team can't live without, and Trey did make that list. He was listed as the guy that, with his experience and what we saw in the end of the season, that, the Phillies do require him to bring that to the table, and they need him. So he's that guy, but he's not the guy for the home runs. I'll just answer the question. The guy that they have as the sleeper, Alec Bohm. They're saying he made huge strides. They're projecting him to have 18 home runs this season, and said that he made huge strides as a hitter. Of course, we saw him hit 20 homers last year for the first time.
Than he had last year.
That's less than last year.
I don't know, but they have everybody's numbers a little bit less because they have Kyle Schwarber at 42. And then I do want to say Schwarber's not the only Phillies guy that made the list. Rhys Hoskins also made the list for the Brewers. They have him projected to be the guy that leads the Brewers in home runs with 31 this upcoming season. So I was kind of like, okay, Reese.
Well, was giving like him or a rookie. I mean,
yeah, because they said Jackson Churio is the one to keep an eye on.
Because I don't know how much longer Willy Adames is on the roster, and after that, I mean, they have no power.
Bingo. They said Willy Adames was the leader last year, but this year it's going to be Rhys Hoskins that leads the Brewers with 31 homers.
Randy Rupert says Bohm's going to hit 28 this year. Watch.
Whoa.
I hope you're right, Randy.
I would love that.
I hope you're right.
I would love that. So,
a little piece of bad news out of Clearwater this morning. Not Phillies related, though. Garrett Cole having an MRI on his pitching elbow. Aaron Boone just told reporters in Clearwater.
Oh.
Yikes. If that happens, I would guarantee that Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery is a Yankee.
Oh, man.
That's bad news
the other
for the
thing
best
about
pitcher in baseball.
I know Tyler and I were just talking about it before the show about, winning championships and top teams, that there is luck that's involved with that. And injuries are such a big part of the game that if Garrett Cole goes down, needs surgery, or if it's something serious, God forbid, that changes a lot for the Yankees. But
everything. They'd be effed.
I mean, that's what they've.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Well, maybe they can go sign Roy Oswalt, who over the weekend pitched for the Savannah Bananas. Maybe he's gearing up for a return. Shane Victorino, who's actually in camp this week, and hopefully we can, maybe grab for the show later this week.
We should make him a Flying Hawaiian.
The Flying Hawaiian. We made a drink after him. The
people don't know about that yet. You will this weekend.
True. He played for the Savannah.
Time travelers?
We have the Flying Hawaiian in our cocktail club coming up this Friday. Stay tuned.
But Shane played for the Savannah Bananas last year. Roy Oswalt pitched over the weekend. I believe they're coming to Philadelphia. Aren't they going on a tour this year?
I think they're playing in Trenton.
They're playing in Trenton.
I believe.
Yes, I see something.
Does anybody have any interest in seeing them?
Me personally, no.
Tyler?
My wife is all about it. I have no interest.
It's a great entertainment.
I bet it's fun.
So here's the thing.
You just can't go expecting a baseball game?
I'm not a big...
the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's exactly was my thing. I'm not a big Harlem Globetrotters guy either. So, when I go to a game, I'm expecting a game. And so it's just not for me. I don't diss it. It's entertainment, and clearly it's working.
A lot of their shows are sold out,
They just sold out Minute Maid Park.
Wow, I'm looking
they sold out Minute Maid. I saw those pictures.
I'm not knocking it in any way. Their marketing campaign is off the charts good. It's just not for me.
Yeah, and it's cool how they bring back some former players and give them that. And the Savannah Bananas coming to a town near you soon. But Shane Victorino is in camp, and I always love that stuff.
I know.
I love when the still kind of player age guys come back and lend their expertise and advice and just hang on the railing and watch and talk baseball all week. And Shane said he was talking to reporters the other day, and he said he has spent some time with Rojas and offered some guidance and, basically whatever he can provide to Rojas. And I just think that stuff's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's even better when you can go back to visit your own team. I know Scott Rowland went back to visit the Nationals, but he's coaching now in baseball, college baseball. Maybe there's other reasons there. But either way, for the Flying Hawaiian to be there and have a chance, as you mentioned, when those guys come back and give some wisdom and give some insight, it's so needed. And he had a chance to talk to Yoro. I'm sure he called him Yoro, obviously, and was telling him, just slow down. Just slow down. And we know that Johan has been focusing a lot on grinding out at bats and trying to, work on the little things. But I do feel like sometimes when a player is so quick, they're used to everything just naturally happening for them and the game coming to them easily. And when you have an area that you struggle, you're trying to just kind of rush through it. And so for Shane Victorino to tell Yoro, hey, Yoro, listen, just slow down a little bit. I think even that, just giving you that, taking a little bit of that pressure off, take it one bat at a time, just focus on the little things. Don't, simplify the process. So I'm glad that he was there to offer some tips, and hopefully it pays off for Johan Rojas and the guys.
One of the other points of discussion around the Phillies this weekend was Aaron Nola saying that Zach Wheeler should take the opening day job. His quote, I think Wheels should take it. I think he's earned it, man. That stuff's great and all, but the baby is on the way. We'll have to figure it out when the little one is coming. It might be right around that day.
Boom.
So Aaron Nola is going to have dad strength this year. So, maybe bet some Aaron Nola props. But the due date is right around opening day. So there's a good chance Zach Wheeler does start opening day at Citizens Bank Park. It seems like there's an internal push from Aaron Nola to kind of, I don't want to say concede because that makes it sound like he's giving it up. But, I think he realizes Zach Wheeler should have an opportunity to start opening day too.
Well, there's a couple things here. One is clearly everybody got pregnant at the same time. Just going to throw that out there because
it was a real horny, slutty team last year. Yeah. Playoff baseball brings the horniness out.
Everybody is having babies right now. Kyle Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. We know Bryson Stott was back in November, but that's still within a 6-month window. There's a lot of pregnant wives across the Phillies and girlfriends across the Phillies. But also, more importantly, what I would say is I think it's just that realistic part of them both being so selfless. Listen, it's a long season. If this makes sense for Nola to get the start, Zach's let Nola start. And then Nola's saying the opposite, let Wheeler start. But knowing that Aaron Nola and his wife are expecting their baby around that same time, I think what he's saying makes complete sense. He's going to be so focused on, going on his paternity leave and being there for his wife and the baby that he's probably not mentally going to be focused and can let Zach get the start. So I love this. This is great. It's like, no, you start. No, you start.
No, you take it. No,
you take the start. No, I'll be with my baby. You take the start. No, I'll be with my baby. You take the start.
Yeah.
Just somebody start.
Let's run around Major League Baseball real quick because I guess there was a permanent for now move that kind of, I guess, sent minor shockwaves, like a 2 on the Richter scale on Friday when I texted it to you, John,
2.
Tyler. Yeah, I mean, it's not like major, but it is. Gavin Lux must have really sucked at shortstop because the Dodgers and Dave Roberts come out and say, oh, yeah, you know that Gold Glove center fielder, right fielder, potentially second baseman we had, and this guy named Mookie Betts. He's actually going to play shortstop now. And the Dodgers have flip-flopped their middle infield, and Mookie Betts is now a shortstop. So I guess we have to go back to our top 5 lists and completely do it over and start all over again. And Mookie is no longer a second baseman. Who was our number 2 second baseman? I'll have to look.
Marcus Semien for most of us.
Yeah, Semien for most. He is officially the best second baseman in baseball now. So congrats to him. Mookie Betts now becomes the best shortstop in baseball. Pretty much whatever position you put him at, he's just going to be the best at that position.
Yeah.
And apparently he can play every position on the field.
So the biggest surprise about this is the fact that the GM, Brandon Gomez, was very adamant about Lux being, 2 weeks ago, being the Dodgers shortstop. We know Lux coming off of a torn ACL. He had played second base prior, but he was showing, signs that he wasn't ready. He wasn't back. His timeline, his recovery, he wasn't, playing at the level that they wanted. And Robert specifically was saying, looking at the schedule, they had to make a decision that they felt was best for the Dodgers, and that Lux was kind of feeling the toll of that pressure, and they thought this was the best move. Now, here's some interesting facts for you guys, because with this, Mookie Betts puts himself in a whole new category of talent. He's played 1,176 games as an outfielder, and Sarah Lang dropped this nugget, does a fantastic job with all these stats and information. Betts played, like I said, 1,176 games as an outfielder, 100 as a second baseman, 16 at shortstop, and becomes only the second player to play more than 1,000 games in the outfield and with those numbers. Do you know who else outside of Mookie Betts in baseball history, because again, he's the second guy to do this, was able to play more than 1,000 games in the outfield, at second base, and at shortstop in 10 or more contests? And hint for you, it's a fun fact for you guys. He was someone that we were talking about in our top 3 recently for the Phillies. An older gentleman that rocked the Phillies uniform, that played in the outfield, second base, and shortstop. Nope.
Was he on our list, or did we talk about him?
He was not on our list.
Then it's probably Ed Delahanty.
It was Ed Delahanty. So Ed Delahanty, who played with the Phillies, he played with the Philadelphia Quakers, the Cleveland Infants, and then the Philadelphia Phillies and Washington Senators.
The Infants?
Yes, the Cleveland Infants.
What the?
That's what their name was.
That's the worst team name I've ever heard. That's embarrassing.
Rocking the baby.
What do they just have babies and pacifiers on their hats?
The Cleveland Infants, guys. The Cleveland. I bet you didn't know that. Cleveland was known as the Infants. I have no idea who drunkenly thought of that name. The Browns and the Infants. I mean, listen, names back then apparently weren't great.
Cincinnati's close.
Yeah, but anyways, he played.
So they were actually only the Infants for 1 year.
Yeah, gee, I wonder why.
1890.
And
their colors were blue and pink.
And somebody went, "You actually named yourself the Infants? What are you doing?"
But what makes it worse is back then teams were named after pilgrims
things
and
around
politics. It was the Quakers, it was the Senators, it was names that were more prehistoric in that sense. Where does Infants come from?
You're watching the Albany light bulbs take the field.
Were there the toddlers somewhere else playing?
The Texas fireplaces.
Anyways.
The Oakland dinner tables. Are we just naming objects around the house and apartment?
Cleveland. Infantry. But still, then why not be the Cleveland
Tampa
Infantry?
Bay Parents. Like, what are we doing? Infants. Get the hell out of here, Cleveland.
Minnesota Twins.
That makes sense.
It's
Twin
the Twin Cities.
No, I know, but maybe Infants was just starting things off of like being named after
Do
something.
better, Cleveland. Do better.
Anyways. So Ed played, of course, 1888 to 1903 for the Quakers, Infants, Phillies, and Senators. And he's the only other player that was able to play more than 1,000 games in the outfield, more than 100 games at second base, and more than 10 games at shortstop. And Mookie Betts is about to join him in history.
Yeah, Mookie Betts pretty good at baseball. This just in.
There's one player that I'm surprised did not crack that.
It was the numbers. You had
list.
to have at least 1,000 in the outfield,
Yeah,
at least 100, and at least 10.
The guy that I'm surprised didn't make that list is Craig Biggio.
I was thinking of him, yeah.
But I guess
he played a lot of catchers.
Yeah, Biggio, I guess he only played about 400 games in the outfield, which is way less than I expected.
Yeah, catcher and second base primarily.
He played
right?
1,900 games at second base, yeah.
Yeah,
Craig
the thing.
Biggio.
There are other guys that played those positions.
Biggio actually never played shortstop.
Oh,
that's kind of surprising.
Back in the day, you did have a lot of guys that played multiple, outfield, second base. The Ed Delahanty's with the Infants and the Quakers.
Well, somebody said Mookie's pulling a reverse Biggio where he's playing harder positions as he gets older. They said, I look forward to him catching in 2035 and pitching in 2040.
He's just
more
exceeding.
Potential bad news for the Yankees out of Clearwater. Again, this just came out. Aaron Boone also said Aaron Judge is just experiencing mid-spring beat-up. He's not taking his regularly scheduled batting practice today and not expected to play again until Wednesday, Aaron Boone said.
Wow. Boone's dropping some tragic news for Yankees fans.
If you take managers at their word, I guess he'll be back Wednesday, but you never want to hear that about your two star players. It'd be cool, though, if the Yankees went down in a burning, pile of flames. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. Them and the Dodgers. Take them with you.
Speaking of the Dodgers, have you seen the numbers for Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman's thus far in spring? Holy jeez. These guys are good. Here is their combined slash line so far. Tyler, are you sitting down? Good, you are. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Freddie Freeman thus far have a .420 batting average, a .494 on-base percentage, a .739 slugging percentage, and a 1.233 OPS. Some things you can say doesn't matter in the spring, and then you see that and you go, oh, shit, this really is going to be the best 1, 2, 3 in a batting order possibly ever in the history of baseball, which goes back to old Ed Delahanty times. I mean, these three have the capability of being absolutely terrifying.
And I'm with Jay. I hate the Dodgers more than the Yankees, especially right now. I will say, as we were just talking about projected home runs leaders and Aaron Judge being the leader for that, and we were just recently, I feel like, reading all this excitement about how great it's been with the Yankees and Judge and Soto and Garrett Cole and all the gang coming together. And then bam, 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 injuries happening, things going on, soreness, MRIs needed. So Dodgers, brace yourselves. I'm not wishing badness on anybody, but I'm just saying, don't be so excited. Like, sometimes you have to really pace yourselves and keep things in perspective because, as Randy is saying, in sarcastic ways, great news ahead of a 162-game schedule. There's a lot of games. It's a very long season. And yes, these numbers are exciting and incredible right now in spring training. And yes, on paper, they absolutely are terrifying. But I'm going to wait and hold my judgment until the very end of the season. Very, very end of the season, because there is a lot that can happen between now and then. But right now, yes, terrifying, exciting, whatever words you want to use. Dodgers fans, happy for you, not happy for you. Pay attention to the Yankees because they're showing and reminding us anything can happen.
Shout out to my buddy Pat Hamrock, who was texting me these updates from Aaron Boone as he's watching the show as well. So thank you, Pat. Thanks for breaking the news on the show there, Patrick.
Well, also just want to remind you guys while we're breaking news down in Clearwater, we'll be breaking news down in Clearwater from Clearwater in just a couple of days. Thanks to Philly Sports Trip in 2 days. We'll be going down to Clearwater ourselves for our very first PHLY spring training takeover, and it's possible thanks to our friends at Philly Sports Trips. Now, they do a fantastic job of just taking the stress away. All you have to worry about is showing up at the airport. They have everything planned for you: transportation, game tickets, fun, food, drinks, getting a chance to hang. For us specifically, this trip we're going down, we're hanging with Charlie Manuel, we're watching the games. We're going to be having a booze cruise for St. Patrick's Day where we're going to be able to enjoy delicious drinks and food on a private yacht, sailing the seas out for St. Patrick's Day. So with everything that Vince and Philly Sports Trips do, they really make sure to give you a full experience, providing you the best opportunities. If you want to last minute join us, because we still have 2 days, it's not too late. You can head over to allphly.com/events to see the details there. But we have more events that we have coming up. And I know Philly Sports Trips does as well, because they're always giving fans the best opportunities, whether it's just traveling together as a group and now you can meet some other sports, Philly sports fans, or being able to just stress-free enjoy the experience and the trip. Philly Sports Trips, thank you. And I can't wait 2 days from now as we'll be flying down to nice, warm, sunny Clearwater.
Yeah, and we got some great things going on here at PHLY. If you head to our website, allphly.com, you can become a diehard member, which is a lot of fun. We got a diehard fantasy baseball league starting up. Zach and Bo are doing a ton of great diehard work on the Eagles pending free agency. And this just came out that the Eagles and Packers are both targeting star safety Xavier McKinney from the New York Giants. So Zach and Bo will have you covered there. The Flyers just did a trade deadline special. There's Sixers and Flyers takeover events all the time. The Discord is on fire. And if you want to become a diehard member, you get some free merch. You get discounts on events. Renee and I and Tyler are going to be down at the Bet Parks track down by the stadium on opening day. So a ton of great stuff coming on here. We'll have some Miller Lite specials going on, and it's just a great time to get in on the ground floor here at PHLY, as we got a lot going on. So check out allphly.com/events. You can check out the locker, and there's a ton of great things happening here. So that just came out that the Eagles and Packers are targeting Xavier McKinney. So Zach and Bo coming up at 12. So don't forget to check that out, as it is Howie season beginning at noon today. And Landon Dickerson already the big news of the day. We'll see if, Saquon Barkley is a legit possibility or not.
Well, also, for just to make it even that much more exciting, a GM did come out and say, and I don't know which GM because they never released who they are. They just say one GM was telling reporters over at Bleacher Report that this should be the most exciting in over a decade of news around the NFL. So I'm glad that we're going to be wrapping up here soon, because it seems like this could be a wild one.
Yeah,
for football.
And our old co-worker, Fletcher Cox, congratulations on a retirement. You are a massive hole to fill in that defense, and hopefully something they have in the plans here. But congrats on a great career. You and Jason Kelce in 2029 going into Canton is going to be a Philadelphia takeover out there. And I don't think there's a doubt about it that Fletcher Cox is a Hall of Famer. If you end up on an NFL all-decade team, you pretty much are a lock to get into the Hall of Fame. And Fletcher had a great career, and kind of lucky they brought BG back on one more year, because if you lost Cox, Kelce, and BG all in the same offseason.
I know. I was so happy to hear that.
That is a
BG
lot
got
of
that
leadership
extension.
gone. So good to see BG's coming back. But Fletch, great career. Our former co-worker, as Rich said in the morning newsletter, there will be cake and refreshments in the cafeteria at 3 o'clock to honor our old coworker. But yes, 10 days left until the baseball season officially kicks off over in Korea. And Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, JD Martinez are still free agents.
And what
is going on?
So the crazy thing is, because I know Blake Snell's trending, honestly, like every day at this point. But Blake Snell has been tied directly to the Angels. There were the rumors that we thought he might be coming to the Phillies, especially if he was open to, a shorter term deal. And your buddy Buster Olney came out and said, that's not happening. He's predicting that the Angels are going to be the ones signing. Now, I've heard that from a few different sources that have that insight saying, listen, guys, it seems like that's the most likely landing spot. But of course, now Yankees Twitter is blowing up because they're like, go sign Blake Snell. As we know, the Yankees offered Blake Snell could not come to a number that they both agreed on, and they've started to drift apart. And now it's seeming like you might have to make some room and bring in Blake Snell.
And this Garrett Cole injury, if you're one of these other teams like an Angels or whoever, you think you got him.
Exactly.
All of a sudden you see Garrett Cole getting an MRI on his pitching elbow, and you go, oh shit! Come up with $20 more million quick.
I think Blake Snell, honestly, I think depending on how severe, of course, Garrett Cole's injury is, but I wouldn't be surprised if Blake Snell's off the board within the next
Jeff
week.
Passan just tweeted about it as well.
Yeah.
So.
Angels calling Anthony Rendon being like, hey, bro, since you don't like baseball, can we get some of that money?
Let me get some money, and we'll give that to Blake, your new teammate. But I think we're going to get Blake Snell news dropping soon because of that exact reason. The Angels now, there's more pressure on them knowing the Yankees might be coming a little bit more aggressively for Blake Snell. If I'm the Angels, I'm giving an extra whatever is necessary. Let's get you locked in. Yeah, get her done.
Get her done. All right, let's get to the Phillies all-time depth chart portion of the day. And we have the top 3 shortstops of all time. Starting at number 3, I'm not going to pretend I ever saw this man play. His name sounds fake, but Granny Hammer.
That's not his full name, Jamie.
All right, why don't you hit us with the full name? I know you're big on this.
I am. Oh, I lost his name.
It's in our text.
His full name is none other. Wait, I wasn't ready.
Oh, boy.
I wasn't ready.
It's right here. Okay. Granville Granny Hammer.
You forgot the important part. Granville Wilbur.
Oh, Wilbur's a good name.
Yeah, it's a solid middle name.
Wilbur.
It's giving, Granny Wilbur.
Wilbur. Yes, Granny Hammer.
Charlotte's Web Wilbur.
And I don't mean any offense to the Hamner family because obviously a pretty good player. This kind of shows you how weak shortstop is throughout the Phillies' history. Long history. Granny Hammer was a 3-time NL All-Star, and as Todd Zulli said, he was Boa before Larry Boa existed. Tough as nails and one heck of a competitor. He made 3 All-Star teams. He earned an NL MVP vote in 6 seasons with the Phillies, including a 6th-place finish in 1950 when the Whiz Kids won the pennant. So I don't really have a whole lot else to say about Granny Hammer, but he comes in at number 3 on the all-time Philly shortstop
There
list.
were his numbers, and put some respect on the man's name. 16 years with the Phillies throughout 1,500 Ks.
I don't mean I disrespect. I just don't know shit about this guy.
305, 385 with over 1,500 hits, 103 home runs, 271 doubles, 705 RBIs, 707 runs, 35 stolen bases. He might be real. He might be a cartoon character. Don't disrespect the Hamner brothers, because not only was Granny good, his brother Garvin was also a Major League Baseball.
Wow.
Wait, his first name was Granville.
Well, to me, he's Wilbur. His friends called him Wilbur.
Garvin and Granville, a.k.a. Wilbur, a.k.a. Granny, were both players in Major League Baseball. Shout out to them. They were one of the original brothers that made it to the professionals. And we know Philly sports have a history. They were the original Kelsey brothers. They were the original Stubbs brothers.
Everybody always says that. Yeah.
That was them. But also, he was, as you mentioned, part of the Whiz Kids, and was definitely in his numbers somebody that was very popular for everybody in 1950 that they knew of, Granny. So shout out to him. And I think to take your point about the picture of shortstops, I think it's bigger. Most of our list, we have guys that are from
you have to go back to the turn of the century,
50, 60 years. And honestly, the next guy up, 1915 and 1920, Dave Bancroft was one of those names that was in the mix.
Don't forget about Mickey Doolin from 1905 to 1913.
Right. Like, we had to go back over 100 years to figure out who was going to be number 3. Obviously, Granny's not over 100 years ago. I know math.
Don't forget Dick Bartell in 1930.
That's a thing.
And Bob Allen in 1890. Ruben Amaro got some shout out in the 60s. But the sad
thing is, part of the reason why why I was a lock for him was the fact that he did play so many seasons with the Phillies. The only thing that kept me from the early 1900s, 1800s guys was they only played 5 or 6 seasons with the Quakers and the Phillies at the time. So,
Tyler, your thoughts on Granny Hamner before we move on?
Sure.
One of your favorite shortstops?
Yeah, I mean, I probably put him right up there with the greats.
Yeah.
He's, all time. He's like Derek Jeter, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Ozzie Smith.
Rick said his finishing move was the Granny body slammer.
How about some respect for Freddie Galvis?
Yeah. Well, he does get an honorable mention in Todd Zulli's list he did, and he said, "Can somebody explain to me how Freddie Galvis never won a Gold Glove?"
I've said that for a long time.
That's a great question.
I can tell you exactly how. There's one name. It's Brandon Crawford. Yeah. Brandon Crawford's the reason Freddie Galvis never won a Gold Glove.
But wasn't he like a 99.4 fielding percentage or something?
Who?
Wild?
Brandon Crawford?
Galvis.
Galvis was great defensively.
Yeah, he really was.
Brandon Crawford was just also equally and sometimes better.
Well, better offensively. Probably gave him the nudge.
And last thing on Granny before we move along, because
I think we've done enough on Granny. I don't think anybody knows who Granny is.
Don't disrespect Granny. He had the most defensive assists in 1949 with 506. And the most double plays turned as a shortstop in 1949 at 101.
Wow.
Wow.
Granny was a ball player.
Granny was a ball player. Go, Granny.
All right.
Go, Granny.
Now the two on the list that everybody knows and loves, faces of the franchise. Number 2, and Larry Bowa has said himself that Jimmy Rollins was the better player. So when the man himself says we'll give him the nod. Larry Bowa comes in as the second greatest Philly shortstop of all time. 12 years with the Phillies, 1,739 games with the Phillies. Slash line with the Phils, 264, 301, 324. More hits than games played, which is always a good sign. 13 home runs can't be right, is it?
That's right.
Career?
13. Well, with the Phillies, yeah.
That's it?
I mean, his season high with the Phillies was 4.
Okay, I have to raise my hand. I did not realize that about Larry Bowa. Wow. Not much power at all out of the Bowa man.
Did you ever watch his at-bats?
Yeah.
He looked like a little leaguer up there.
Yeah.
But then he would hit. I mean,
I didn't realize that. 13 home runs in 12 years.
Maybe Granny should have been number 2.
No, but Larry Bowa.
He was a contact hitter. He didn't strike out a lot.
But 13?
Career high in strikeouts in the season.
Those are Ben Revere numbers.
61.
Wow.
Doesn't walk a ton. His OBP is right at the 300 mark for his career.
I'm blown away by that.
He was a slap hitter.
Yeah, Larry's the man, but 13 home runs.
Choke up with 2 strikes, you know.
I would have thought he lucked into a couple more than that.
I mean, there are guys getting double that in one season now. Yeah. So, yeah.
Bowa had
15 career home runs, 99 career triples.
Yeah, almost 2,200 career hits. As we just said, almost 1,800 of those with the Phillies. He had a 980 fielding percentage at shortstop, which is tied for the 9th in baseball history. So that's pretty good. 5-time All-Star with the Phils, won 2 Gold Gloves, got some NL MVP votes in 4 seasons, and he was the shortstop of the 1980 team. Later managed the Phils. He's a Phils all-timer legend. Larry Bowa comes in at number 2.
Yeah, and I finished Tyler's numbers here. 206 doubles. I know you got stumped after 13 home runs.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I'm not going to lie. That blew my mind.
421 RBIs. I got you on the assist. 816 runs, 288 stolen bases. Now that's remarkable. 2-time Gold Glover, as you mentioned, a 16.8 D WAR, and 5 times led the league in shortstop fielding percentage, as you were talking about. The numbers are remarkable when you look at, although he didn't hit a lot of home runs, stealing bases, his D WAR, his fielding percentage. Yeah, number 2 without a doubt, Larry Bowa.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Tyler, Larry Bowa.
Yeah, I mean, elite defender, not a lot of pop. You know exactly what Larry Bowa was. He was a kind of the heartbeat of the teams throughout the 70s. Part of the heartbeat of the teams throughout the 70s was an elite defender. By the way, I think these guys that played in the 70s and 80s specifically, I guess any time in the vet, but the 70s and 80s specifically, before the turf got, quote, good, was you're playing on concrete, right? And you were playing a really difficult position on concrete. So, like, guys like Bowa, and then to the upper echelon, guys like Ozzie Smith, these guys that are defensive wizards trying to play on concrete, I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah, sure.
I know Hypothetical Man saying for the longest time that it was a premium defensive position.
Yeah,
and I know Kevin's mentioning ballparks were smaller. Yeah, that's a thing. It was a different time.
13.
It was a much different time, or ballparks are smaller today. And Kim's mentioning that, and wondering what the average home runs per season back then were. I know when we were reading about different guys, Ed and who was the other one that we were? Oh, McGee, Sherry McGee, different guys over the years. Mr. Sherwood from back in 1901. Home runs weren't really hit as much back then. It's a much different game now than it was back in that day. In our day.
1, 2, 3.
It's wild.
4, 5, 6 seasons with the Phillies with 0 home runs.
Sounds about right.
That is wild. I did
There's
not
something
realize
about
that
Larry
about Larry
Boa that you didn't know.
Yeah, but a great all-time Philly, great defender, one of the best fielders ever at the most
Jamie
important.
just ignores my joke.
I'm sorry.
I'm
trying to wrap up.
I know. Hurry up.
Larry Boa himself said it. I wasn't a great player. I was a good player. Jimmy is a great player. Yeah, I think he's a great player. And number one on the list, Jimmy Rollins, all-time leader in hits in franchise history. He was the wizard. He was the heartbeat. He was the straw that stirred the drink for a championship club. 15 years with the Phillies, which is unbelievable. Almost 2,100 games, 267, 327, 424, 2,300 hits, 200-plus home runs. Look at those double numbers, 479 doubles. I love Jimmy Rollins' doubles to the gap. It was just a beautiful thing. 887 RBIs, 1,300-plus runs scored, 453 stolen bases, won the 2007 MVP, 4-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time 40-plus stolen base guy, and again, the all-time hits leader. Jimmy Rollins, to me, is a Hall of Famer. I think it's going to be close if he gets in one way or the other. J-Roll was just the man.
Yeah, and I loved the nugget. I was reading Todd Zulli mentioning that when he spoke to Larry Boa in 2006, the spring of 2006, about Jimmy Rollins and if J-Roll could be the greatest shortstop in Phillies history, Larry was like, I don't know, I need to see him play a little bit longer. Fast forward 2 years later, 2008, he was like, yep, and exactly as mentioned, he's got it, he's great, but Mr. Some people call me Jimmy, and they say when I put on a uniform, I turned into J-Roll, Jimmy Rollins. Yeah, he definitely locked it at number one. And the shortstop position has changed a lot, and I think he was a part of that big change of now not only just being a defensive premium, but also a guy that can hit 25 home runs, 83 RBIs, and 811 OPS in just the 2006 season alone. So he actually was a part of that change, I feel like, for the shortstop role to be someone that also gives you great at-bats and helps, smash balls out of the park.
Yeah, he did everything. Incredible player. Tyler, I know one of your personal faves as well.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to add to this. He's one of the great Phillies of all time. He's the all-time hits leader. He was the heartbeat of those, the 2007 through 2011 Phillies team. And he was a guy who had a rare combination of a lot of different tools at a position that was evolving as he was getting into the league. It went away from defensive wizards only to guys with some pop. And you would see J-Roll, you would see Alex Rodriguez, Nomar Garcia-Parra had some pop. Like, these guys revolutionized the shortstop position to not just be a defensive-minded position, where it's a position of guys who can do everything. A lot of times it's maybe your best athlete, it's your best player. Jimmy Rollins is a borderline Hall of Famer. I'm not entirely convinced he's
better
in.
He's got better numbers than Barry Larkins and some other guys in there.
Larkin will always be his comp. And so to me, I don't believe that either player is a Hall of Famer, but if Larkin's in, I think J-Roll has to be in.
Yeah, and Hypothetical Man said, I think the year he won MVP, he had 20 triples.
Well, he went 20-20-20-20-20.
Yeah, I was going to say he was a 20-20-20 guy that year, which is absolutely bonkers to think about. Hello, Natalie P. Thank you for coming back right as the show ends, but we appreciate you nonetheless. We are going to be live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Then Wednesday, Renee, we're moving it up a little bit earlier because we have a flight to catch. And then Thursday, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Baycare Complex down in Clearwater, hopefully bringing you a ton of great content from down in Florida as we will be coming back on Monday. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Zach and Bo are coming up. It's Eagles free agency period time, and things might get a little nutty in Eagles land. So make sure you're tuning into those guys as well. For Tyler, Renee, and myself, thank you, everybody. Have a great Monday, and we're that much closer to baseball season. Woo-hoo! 17 days away from opening day. Have a great Monday, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.